Hello viewers, we will be doing another how-to video. This time we will see the steps on how to add a client/location on your CICO system. This will enable you to view when your employees are clocking in and clocking out, as well as having your employees clock in and clock out. Let's begin. We have to log into the user interface. To do that, go to a browser. Any browser will work. For me, I'll be using Google Chrome. Once the browser is opened up, go to the URL text box located at the top of the page. Here, type in clockin, clockout.com. From there, the system will take you to the website homepage. Once you're at the website page, from here, click on the sign in link located at the top right corner in the green. At the sign-in page, put in your login information, such as your username and password, then click on Submit to log into your system. As you're logging in, the system will take you to the update page. Here, the system will inform you on any new updates that are coming for the system. Read through it, get an understanding of what's coming, and then click on Continue to move on. Once we've reached the user interface dashboard, we have to add our locations or clients. To do that, look for the tab that says Client/Location. It'll be at the top right corner here. A list will appear underneath it. Click on Add a Client to move on. Okay, now that we're on the Add Client page, we have to create some clients and locations from which our employees can clock in and clock out of. To do that, we have to fill out anything that has a red star next to it, such as the information you'd give for your first name, last name, for a client or location that your employees will clock in and clock out from. I'll give you an example. For a client, you might want to use the example of an elderly company. You're taking care of the elderly, such as one client whose name is Grandma Butters. Grandma Butters needs someone to come visit her and take care of her. To do that, you have to label this one client as Grandma. So you put Grandma for the first name, and then you put Butters for the last name. That's Grandma Butters. That's one of your clients. That's how you label them. This is an example of a client. Just like Grandma Butters, I'll show you an example of how you label a location. Note, I'll be using Grandma Butters for the rest of the video as my first client, but I'm just going to show you how to label a location. To do that, we have to identify what your location is. Is it an office building that you own and your employees come to work at? Is it a garage, or is it a store or something like that? Whatever it is, you're going to have to put in the name of that building. So let's say it's a Joe's Garage. He owns a garage shop. So what you have to do is, for the first name, put in Joe's, and for the last name, Garage 1. The 1 is because Joe owns multiple garages, so he's going to have to create multiple clients, so he has to do this multiple times. So this is just an example of how you label a location. For the location/department, this basically means the area where your employees clock in and out of. For the example regarding the client, Grandma Butters, this means where she resides at. Grandma Butters resides at the Butter House. So that's the address you put into this box here. To do that, we have to click on this icon right here. It's all the way to the right of location/department. Once you click on this icon, a GPS map appears. Here, you have to put in the address of your client's location or residence. For Grandma Butters, it's the Butter House. So you type in the Butter House in the search box, and the GPS will show you where the Butter House is located. Now, this will be saved into your system, and whenever you check, you can find out whether or not your employees clocked in and clocked out of the area where the Butter House is located at. For the DOB, which is the date of birth, or the images, these two are optional areas, but if you want, you can fill them out. This will allow your employees to know how old your client is, and it will show a picture of the client or the client's house. These are both optional things. You don't have to fill them out if you don't want to. The PIN number is very important. You have to assign one for each client and location that you make. For this client, you can either generate a random PIN number or you can assign one on your own. Either way, they need a PIN number. This allows the system to know that which customer you're helping. Let's say one of your employees are helping out Grandma Butters and her phone is suffering from call block or some sort of issue, and when you try to dial into the system, it's asking you for a PIN. And this is the PIN that you need to put in to let the system know that this employee is working with Grandma Butters at this time. For status, you can either leave Grandma Butters disabled or active. If she's active, that means your employees can clock in from her location. If she's disabled, that means your employees cannot clock in from her location. For this video, I'll be using active. The caller ID is the phone number you're going to use to call into the system from Grandma Butters' location. We recommend you use Grandma Butters' landline phone. It'll be the preferable option. Just type in the number in here. Later on, when your employees are going to Grandma Butters' location and they're using her phone to call into the system will see this phone number and immediately know that, hey, your employee is working from Grandma Butters' location, so they'll get clocked in. For supervisor, this is basically who's in charge of watching over Grandma Butters and assigning people to Grandma Butters and making sure she's happy. For my case scenario, it's Josephina. Now, he's the one in charge, and any employee who are assigned to Josephina, they don't have to put the PIN in when they're assigned to Grandma Butters. They don't have to do it constantly after every day. They only have to do it one time and then they're good. So anyone assigned to Josephina can help out with Grandma Butters. Anyone outside of Josephina, if they're assigned to Grandma Butters, they'll have to put in the PIN every time. For time zone, this is the time zone that your client is located at. You have to select which one it is. For Grandma Butters, it's Eastern Standard Time because she's on the East Coast. She's at New York. So I'm selecting Eastern Time. For this section here, it's optional. You don't have to fill it out. But if you do, this places some guidelines that your employees will have to follow when clocking in and clocking out. Note, these guidelines will affect how your employees clock in and clock out. So be careful with what you choose. Here's a couple of examples, with the first one being this option right here. If you enable this option, this basically a guideline will be placed on your employees where if one employee is already clocked in helping Grandma Butters and a second employee tries to clock in to help Grandma Butters, the system won't allow the second employee to clock in until the first employee clocks out. Just so you know, if you clicked on the first option here, you won't be able to click on the second option. This is because the second option is a contradiction to the first. Clicked on the second option, you won't be able to click on the first option. This is because the second option has a different guideline that's the exact opposite to the first. For the second option, the guideline is that if an employee is clocked in and helping Grandma Butters and a second employee tries to clock in to help Grandma Butters, the first employee will be clocked out automatically. The system will clock him out, enabling the second employee to be clocked in. Now, these two options are optional. You don't have to pick these guidelines at all. If you want to, you can. Just note you can only pick one of them. For the next optional guideline that you can enable is the active employee clockout survey. If you enable this, basically once your employees have clocked out of this client, Grandma Butters, there will be a survey available for them that they have to fill out. The survey is comprised of questions that you, administrator, have selected. I'll show you where you can go to select that. But like before, this is optional, so if you want your employees to fill out the survey, they can. The next optional guideline you can enable is the allow to view payroll report. This enables you to show your employees how many hours they worked and how much money they made. This is totally optional. You don't have to enable this if you don't want to, but if you do, just click on this little checkbox here. For the final optional guideline on this section is the client information for IVR prompt 3. This is basically a message that you can leave to your employees regarding the client. Let's say Grandma Butters needs to take her meds at 3. So you go in here and you type in Grandma Butters needs her med at 3, and the system will inform the employee about Grandma Butters and how the client needs something at 3 o'clock. Whatever message you want to put, you can put it in here. This will inform whoever is the employee in charge of Grandma Butters what to do. For the final section, that's the client contact information. Here you just put in the information for Grandma Butters or the client that you're using. This is all optional. If you do fill this out, this will be helpful later on if you want to grab them out for report reasons or tax purposes or anything like that. For clicking Add Client, go through the sections one more time. Make sure you put everything in correctly. Once you're sure that you put everything in correctly, then click on Add Client. After clicking on Add Client, you'll reach this page. It'll tell you that you have successfully added a client. And as you can see down here, you can see client name, Grandma Butters. My client has been added in successfully. In this portion of the video, I will show you, the business owners, how to add more phone lines to your clients or location. This in turn will help make it more productive for your employees to clock in and out. With more lines means more employees can call into the system simultaneously. With that, no employee has to wait on another to finish clocking in and out. They can all clock in right away. To do that, we have to go from the dashboard to the tab labeled Client/Location. It's located at the top right corner of the dashboard, right here. When you hover your mouse over it, a list will appear. From here, just find View Clients on the list, it's the first thing there, and click on it. Here on your client page, decide which client or location that you're using to add multiple lines to. For this video, I'll be using Grandma Butters. All you have to do is go to the caller IDs. The caller IDs are basically the phone numbers or the lines, whichever one you want to call it. Either way, click on the caller ID button right here under Action, and we get to this page. At this page, as you can see, it's Grandma Butters' caller ID information. This is basically the numbers that we use to call into the system to clock in and clock out. Right now we have only one number, which if we had only one employee clocking in and clocking out, it'll be all right. But let's say Grandma Butters needs multiple employees to take care of her, then you need to add multiple lines. So it'll be easier for them to clock in and clock out, more productive. Now, maybe Grandma Butters has a cell phone number or another landline phone she's willing to let us use, or maybe you trust your employees enough to let them clock in from their cell phones. Whatever the case being, add in the numbers in here, or the lines if you have a location like a building where your employees can come into work, an office building. You can just put in all the numbers in here and they'll work from there. So for here, I'm putting in a number for a cell phone, which I trust my employee to call into. It's his cell phone number, so I just type it in here in the caller ID box and click on Add New Caller ID, and it says successfully client ID added. And as you can see here, the second ID is my employee's cell phone number. Now all we have to do is add however many caller IDs we need. After adding all the caller IDs that you need, we have to go and select some survey questions. As I stated before in the video, we can create our own survey questions or pick them. To do that, we have to go to Client/Location and go to View Clients on the list. Click on that, and you'll be brought to your client list. Now go to the client that you're using that you want surveys questions added to. I'm using Grandma Butters for this video. Go to the Survey Question tab underneath Action for Grandma Butters. Click on that. Now here it says Grandma Butters Survey Questions, and now you can select available questions. I'll show you. Okay, to select a question, you have to go to here and available survey questions. You go here, you can select which one you want. Did you perform personal care? Did you perform health? Did you perform housekeeping, assist with meals, whatever the case being? Click on the one of the questions that you want. Later on, you'll be able to create your own questions. You just have to talk with the management with clock in, clock out. They can help you create your own questions. But if any of these questions are the ones that you're looking for your survey, just select one of them, such as did you perform personal care, and click on Add New. This little message up here says you've successfully added a survey question, and you can see here that here's the question. Now, if this wasn't the question you wanted, you can click on Remove, and if you want more, you just find the one that you want to add, and then from there, just add it in. And that's how you add in survey questions. With that, we are officially finished with this training video. We learned everything we need to add a client or location, as well as caller IDs and lines for those locations, as well as survey questions that your employees will have to answer regarding those locations. I hope this video has made it easier to experience clock in and clock out to its full potential. as well as make it easier to run your business and keep track of who's clocking in and clocking out at what time. I hope to see you in the next training.